Hey travellers, so Matesse from Forward Adventures here, and it's been 4 months since our gap year lap around the country has finished. How did we integrate back into society? Stay tuned and find out. So we left Melbourne in December 2019 in a hybrid camper trailer with a 1.5-year-old and a 4-year-old. And we left heading west and got as far as Perth before COVID shut down the world 3 months later. So we had rented out our home, we'd stalled all our stuff, we'd both quit our jobs. What were we going to do? We couldn't go to Mum's house in Melbourne. Small house, couldn't fit us all. So we headed over to Queensland, Noosa, Queensland, and stayed with the in-laws for 3 months there. And then we continued the rest of the lap. So the whole year became one big, huge COVID hurdle, racing to get to borders, doing isolation, quarantine jumps. But we had lots and lots and lots of fun as well. And then we finished the lap and had to decide what we were going to do because due to COVID, yay, our tenant in our house pulled the pin and we had to rent out their house for another 12 months halfway through our trip. And that meant when we were supposed to come back home to Melbourne in January 2021, we couldn't come back to our house unless we booted the tenant out. Of course, I suppose we could have done that. So we thought, we were in the Noosa area for 3 months. It seemed pretty nice. Our life is already packed up. We don't have any jobs to go to. We had prep already organised there for Royce. Although we'd missed all of the orientation days, we'd have to find a new school for him up here. Let's just give it a shot. Give it a year, see if we get jobs, see how we like the place, anything like that. So as we were coming back through after our lap of the country, headed back through Perth, the 3rd time over the Nullarbor, we took a left instead of going right down to Victoria and headed back up to Queensland. So that was 4 months ago. We officially ended our lap in December, mid-December. Again, we cut it short technically by about 10 days, trying to avoid some horrendous weather in the Byron Bay, Port Macquarie area. So we sort of went inland and skipped all of that, unfortunately. So we'll have to go and do that another trip. But this is not a story, but a bit of a journey and some insights on how to navigate getting back into society after being on your own for so long. So here we go. The first weirdest thing, is that a word? Weird thing, was getting used to so many crowds again. Just driving in traffic, and this is Noosa traffic, so we're talking single lane roads really and roundabouts. But for my first job interview, I had to drive 45 minutes down the freeway. Not a busy freeway, but then getting through towards Maroochydore area, I'd not driven the car for any length of time more than a bit of a shopping trip to the local shops from whatever our campsite was for a whole year. So that was pretty weird. At least I wasn't towing anything. But yeah, getting used to just generally being on the road again in regular traffic was a little unhinging. And then walking through massive malls with so many people around, and the new COVID normal of masks everywhere. When you're in a national park and there's no one literally around you, we didn't have to wear masks. So that was interesting. Oh, I've got someone joining me. Hello, you were supposed to be in bed. So you set up your photo camera gear at 9 o'clock trying to think that you're going to get a good shot at doing a vlog piece, but no, they're still awake. Anyway, what was I talking about? COVID normal and masks in shopping centres. Weird. So weird. 1.5 meters away from other people. But anyway, yeah, those are, I guess, when you come out from under a rock, it would be the same sort of thing. So that's what we felt like we'd done. Anyway, so as soon as we arrived at what was going to be a new temporary home, if you like, we had a different situation to most people because we have family here. So we're actually now staying with our in-laws. There's a bedroom for us and a bedroom for the kids, a big block to have our van in the backyard. So that's been really easy to, I suppose, work around in trying to find a new place to live. But anyway, the first week that we landed back here was just before Christmas, and we had 3 days before it was going to be a big family outing for Christmas again, where we'd be out camping for a week again. So we just literally spent it all sleeping. There wasn't any point to even unpacking the van because we'd get back into it again. So after the Christmas break, we had genuinely full on a week of cleaning out and detailing the car and the van. And I mean toothbrush cleaning everything out. There was red dirt everywhere. The car seats were disgusting, and that's when I was cleaning the car seats pretty regularly as well. I even did a blog about that one. It was just cleaning, and exhausted cleaning. We did so much laundry and washing, and all of our clothes were disgustingly just brown and worn through. My mum was down up from Melbourne, and she took me on a shopping spree for some work clothes. So I've got a whole new wardrobe of work clothes now, summer work clothes, which was great. Because we only have our camping clothes really, which isn't very great to go to a job interview in. And it wasn't until about 3 weeks later that we managed to fly back down to Melbourne and get some of our things out of storage that we could use up here. So that was good. But and then it was just jobs. What are we going to do? What are we going to do for schools? Where are we going to live? Funding, crazy. We don't know anyone. We don't know what we're doing. We're just sitting around all day. Not sitting around at all. But I'd actually, job-wise, started hunting because I'm ridiculously organised. Hitting the seek ads and working on my resume weeks before we even got back to Queensland. So I'd done a lot of the groundwork there, and I think within 2 or 3 weeks I had a job interview lined up, which I got. But career-wise, on the other hand, Paul wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do. So we'd left Melbourne working crazy hours in his job, and he was commuting so long over the week, and he just didn't want to have that sort of lifestyle anymore. And this is what most people are trying to avoid, right? When they go off with their family to spend time with their family, realizing that life isn't just about working all the time. And the career aspects and the money. So he had a long time of what am I going to do with myself now sort of thing. And he eventually settled on trying to work out how to do his own business. So he's now working on that, and I'm working 4 days a week in a office 45 minutes away. So now I've got the commute, crazy enough, but it's down a freeway and it's all cruise control until the very end. So that's all right. But school-wise, on the other hand, we knew nothing about the schools around here. We had to start from scratch, and just work out, okay, so what do we want in the school? Okay, so there's two government schools. They don't even call them primary schools like they do in Victoria. There's state schools here, so many little tiny things are different. When we got here, I thought, based on the Victorian school term, that I still had a week up my sleeve to do all the admin side and find a school and get Royce signed in. But it turned out, because of COVID, they'd finished the school term a couple of days earlier, and that term actually finished the day before we arrived here. So I missed all of that round around, and anxious minds going, oh my gosh, when we get to January he's not going to have a school enrollment. But I managed to sort that out, emailed all the documents off. So perhaps it's not that hard to sign up a child's enrolment to schools once you've found which one you want to go to. It's probably a different thing for the private school system, but so don't stress about that if you have decided to land in a completely different place. School uniforms were easy to come by, and then we came during school holidays, and they had a vacation program there. So a good tip there was to get them in, or Royce attended the vacation care for 2 days the week before school term started, and there were a lot of the preppies that were going to be in that school year doing the program as well. So he actually got to make a few friends there and have some familiar faces for his first day of school there. So it got him back into, I guess, a routine of a school, because we had obviously no routine in a caravan for a year. And it gave him a little bit more of a grounding for his first day of school, obviously, because we'd missed all of the orientation sessions. We'd worded him up, and we'd had stories read to him about what going to primary school was like and what you do, and oh, do you remember this at daycare? Yes. So he didn't have too much difficulty adjusting to the school, although he did say for quite a few weeks after he started that he didn't like playtime. There were so many children on the playground. So this school that he's at now has 4 prep classes of about 25 students. So that's a lot of kids crawling all over the playground at lunchtime, compared to most playgrounds that we were at over the course of last year. They might have been a handful of kids on a playground, so it's a very different scenario for that. That's one thing to think about when you're coming back to normal society, I guess. And another thing I tried to get him to do to instigate or help him make friends was pop some notes into or write some notes for the other parents of the friends that he had made friends with, and just inviting them to do play dates at the local playground. And that's how we've been able to meet some of the other local families. Being brand new in the area here, we don't know anybody, and certainly that has helped him adjust and have some other friendly faces that he can come to at class, because he knows them from the weekend play dates. So there's a good tip there. Daycare centres, I think there's actually only one daycare centre in our area, so it wasn't a difficulty to choose between them. There's a difference between a rural, semi-rural setting and suburbia, where we're from. In suburbia, I would have checked out 5 different daycare centres, just trying to place or pick one to try to enrol in for my kids. And we only had one choice here, and then trying to get Austin enrolled, there was only one day available. He was too busy. So we were stuck with Paul trying to work from home and looking after Austin at the same time, and everybody who's worked through COVID with little kids knows that's not possible. So that's been a bit of a strain. Of course, I had to leave early in the morning, come home late at night, but we did have grandparents as well here helping when they were about. So schools and daycare centres is just another thing that you don't necessarily think about when you land back in the normal life. Now, what's another good point? Finances. I'm a bit of a follower of the Barefoot Investor, and he suggests always having your, what does he call it? A fire extinguisher fund? Anyway, it's basically 3 months of buffer zone, 3 months of your regular living expenses. So however much you need to spend on everything throughout the month, just multiply it by that by 3 and have that as cash sitting in a high interest savings account. So we made sure, or I made sure, when we finished our trip, when planning my budget way back years ago, to save up enough that we had enough to live on throughout the year, and the contingency, 12% contingency I think we had, of which we burnt through the lot with so many different breakages and fixes and replacements, tyres, extra services, extra kilometres travelled. And then on top of that, for when we land back home and don't necessarily find jobs right away, like who knows what type of job you're going to get or how long it's going to take for you to find a suitable job, right? So make sure you've got 3 months buffer. And that should cover childcare costs, obviously your food and accommodation, rent, and bills, and potentially other fixes and servicing of the cars, because as soon as you get home, everything needs to be serviced again. Oh wow, have we spent so much on servicing. So there's another good tip for you, to make sure that you've got a good buffer zone of cash up your sleeves, so you're not literally stressed out from landing back home going, oh my gosh, we have no money in the account, and then just burning through credit cards, because you definitely do not want to do that if you haven't found a job yet. The other thing I wanted to talk about was just the differences in life, I guess, in Queensland versus Victoria or Melbourne. Subtle differences that can be unusual. So obviously people move up north from Melbourne or Victoria for the nicer weather, for constant sunshine. Well, you think it's constant and you head to Queensland, Sunshine State, it's always sunny. Not in wet season, which is your summer. So Victorian thinking, yeah, summer's about 35 degrees every day, yeah, dry. Up here, it's wet season. So apparently this year has been an unusually wet season. This week it has rained all week, and for the last 2 months at least it's been pretty wet as well. So getting your head around that and just trying to work out, where is the summer? Is there going to be a summer? But then realizing that the dry and the nice mild weather's actually going to be closer to June, July. May, June, July, that sort of thing. So keep your spirits up for when it's all wet and grey skies, although there are some beautiful nice blue skies as well. Do make sure that you get out back into the forests or whatever floats your boat at the beach, to get your connection back to where you were on your outside journeys. I couldn't possibly think of wanting to get back into the van. It's only now April, just the first week of April, Easter, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I could get back into the van soon. I just wanted to get into a routine, settle down. Family kept saying, oh, do you want to come camping here? Do you want to go four driving here? I'm like, no, I've just cleaned it all. I want to rest and I want to try to sort my life out a little bit, but I'm starting to find that itch. So you might see some more videos from us actually out there on the road sooner or later. Keep an eye out on them. And I think I'll wrap it up there. So a few tasty tidbits of hopefully helpful bits of wisdom for you there. When settling down after traveling for so long back into society and finding a new place to live and starting again literally from scratch. Leaving your friends behind in another place, you feel so isolated. Facebook's a great thing now that they've got lots of groups, meetup groups for the area in your age range. Hunt them up, check them out, join the Parents and Friends Association at school, or just hang around at school pickup time to try to meet other families and do the playdate thing. So that's another way to integrate and try to meet new people when you're just feeling so alone, even though you're surrounded by family, but kind of alone in a different way. Yeah, hope you enjoyed your travels. When you come back home, it does get easy. It's very weird, and I guess some people are dying to get back onto the road, I hear, and some people aren't. I was in the art category, but yeah, enjoy, have fun. I hope you can find everything that you've come put into storage for a year, and take it easy. Bye for now.